What's up, y'all? Alright, so this is going to be just a quick 20 minutes just to get through the tutorial and like die a bunch to the first fight on a first save. That's funny. Alright, but this is just going to be a quick little like guide on how to maximize efficiency, as well as how to no, I don't want to do that. As well as how to kind of like utilize dodge offset in good ways, get fast delimbs, and make each weapon feel unique. Because, you know, one like really like weird complaint about this game that just blows my mind is people saying each weapon feels the same, which is just like so not true. But I think what it comes down to is this. So this is a tanky enemy. He has a lot of health. He's harder to delimb. And I think what a lot of people do is kind of try to play it like they would in G2 or 3 or 1, where they're just kind of like spamming attacks, but they're mixing in some Blood Raven here and there. And it takes a long time to kill things, and then if I like come over to the staff, for instance, and I do the same thing, where I'm like, alright, like, okay, cool. So how do we make these weapons feel unique? Well, let's talk about the swords first. And how do we get like fast delimbs and efficiency and dodge offset? I'm gonna kind of tie this all into one. So we saw how long it kind of like took to kill and delimb that guy. The key for efficiency and quick delimbs in this game is going to be getting into our level 3 Blood Raven attacks. As well as, in order to do this, we need to do a lot of good crowd control, okay? So like if I'm starting off a fight, I really wish I could put multiple enemies in here. But if you want to do these like big level 3 charged Blood Raven attacks, you need to like have good spacing and positioning, but sometimes you can't. Guillotine throw. You can't really isolate. Like these Onis are pretty much impossible to isolate. So when you're fighting a bunch of soldiers, you're relying on positioning and spacing and isolation. When you're fighting these guys, you have to rely on crowd control. So like if I have 3 of them here, or 2 of them and a bunch of other enemies, and I want to dispatch them quickly, first thing I need to do is crowd control. And I'm going to do something like this, or something like this, because both of these attacks have like large sweeping Blood Raven. They're both large sweeping Blood Raven attacks, whatever. And that's going to basically, you know, crowd control and give you a second to isolate him. So now he's isolated, right? The other enemies are stunned for like 2 seconds. So now he's isolated, so what are we gonna do? We wanna get into the third hit of these combos like this, or like this. Nope. Like this, or this. And we wanna isolate this motherfucker. So after we stun him, this is how we use dodge offset to do this, to get into the quick, fast, delimb, high damage techniques. We're gonna stun him. We're gonna do a light attack into a dodge offset heavy. Nope, sorry, fucked up. Light attack into a dodge offset heavy. Light, dodge offset. And doing stuff like that is going to be what really allows us to like get rid of these enemies a lot faster. You also want to utilize some of our gap closer Blood Raven techniques. So the quickest way to like dispatch this guy fast is going to be this, into back forward. He's stunned, so we can get this off. He's pancaked, dodge offset into the air. He's already delimbed. So again, we're gonna crowd control. We're gonna do some like launching attack or some gap closer. We're gonna do some Blood Raven, dodge offset attacks, and he's delimbed, done, gone. Right? Now all these weapons are gonna play like a little bit different. Like not all of the weapons are gonna have like good dodge offset launchers. when you're doing this with weapons like the drill, it really relies on like doing these charged attacks, which is so dangerous. Like you'll see a lot in my footage where I get punished trying to do that. Same when we look at the box. You're really relying on doing these like charged attacks and releasing at the proper timing. Which can be a little bit risky. But they all like serve the same purpose, and like the way they like built these weapons is so they all do like feel different. And they have different properties. So we saw there like with the staff. The staff has a lot of like, it does have a launcher that we saw there, but most of the staff attacks are going to be like your isolation and crowd control type of attacks. Where it's like pancaking enemies or knocking them back. Like that. So you can use them for like isolation essentially. Like look at all that distance we created. And it allows you to kind of like isolate. So we have these attacks on the sword, which are typically contingent on sweeping. So we have sweeping attack for crowd control, sweeping attack for crowd control, sweeping attack for crowd control. No, sorry, I fucked up the input. Why? Why are you doing that attack, bro? What the fuck? There we go. I think I was pressing forward on accident. Sweep attack for crowd control. Then when we look at the box, a lot of them are going to be kind of like grabs and juggles. Another grab style attack. Oops, I don't know why he didn't follow that up. Which is Bloodraven Y, just like the sword attack. And then when we look at the Bloodraven Y with the like hammer, for instance, again, it's going to be a pancake type attack. And if we do the Bloodraven X with this, it's going to be more of a like knock the enemy away, isolation type of attack. So you have to like understand what these are going to do. We have crowd control with this weapon. This weapon is crowd control. A lot of these are built around, you know, getting the enemies off you in groups. This is going to be more of like a single target. I really just want to fuck somebody up. With grabs, this weapon is going to have two different things. It's going to be kind of, again, like a crowd control in a different way. Instead of knocking groups of enemies down like the swords, it's going to be doing it with like one single enemy, or, you know, stuff like this. Which can hit multiple enemies, but the point is it's like knocking them back. So if you have like a group of 4 or 5 enemies and you do this, it's going to basically like knock them all in a big circle. And again, you can use that to isolate and prioritize and all that cool shit. So this attack, or this weapon, doesn't have like a lot of really nice crowd control. If we look at like the Bloodraven combos, we have, you know, X, X, X. So even if you like dodge offset that, it's cool. It's really good single target damage. But trying to do, like, the charge part of this is going to completely prevent the enemy you're fighting from doing anything, but it doesn't give you, like, any sort of knockback. Where this weapon, if we do the charged versions, you see that glow, that red glow around Yakumo? If you release the attack after that glow, you are completely safe. You basically deflect the enemy's weapon. That is not a parry, it's not a perfect block. All it does is kind of like stun them for a quick second and kind of like prevent them from attacking you. So this too, boom. If you release it after that glow, now, boom, you're safe. You cannot get hit. Even if 6 enemies come fucking zooming in at you, you're gonna knock the enemy's weapons away and prevent yourself from being hit. However, if you're about to get hit, like here, you're not safe. So you do have to get the charge. So you have to like understand when your windows are available to do this. Because you need the charged part to get the heavy D-limb. You need the charged part to keep yourself safe and deflect the enemy's attacks. This weapon, even though it has like the charge, doesn't really have that kind of property. Like you're not really safe until that last... Again, when you see that red glow, that's the only time you're safe. So the attack and the difference is like with this, like your attack animation is after the glow, so you have like a second or two there to kind of like deflect the enemy's attack. With this, it's not till the attack's done, so you have to sit there charging on them for like a minute, right? So it's not really like that advantageous. But again, this is going to be basically like all single target. If we look at the different attacks that we have, none of them really do anything to like crowd control, which is really what sets this apart. You mean you have a couple, I guess, like this, but the main focus of this weapon is going to be like massive single target damage. It's not going to be looking at massive like crowd control. Or how do I get in the air with this weapon? So all of these weapons have different properties and different ways to utilize the dodge offsets. Again, we have juggles and grab with the Bach. We have pancakes and knockbacks with the hammer. We have single target massive damage with this. We have AoE sweeps. The swords really have like a lot because you have AoE sweeps and launchers, and it really is like the easiest way. Like I said, if you want to like start an encounter with this, and then gap close with this, and then launch with this. No, sorry, launch with this. Like it's just over. The swords are by far like the strongest way to get like your fast, quick D-limbs and kind of like be safe while you're doing it, because we have that deflect knockback properties of attacks like this. And we have, you know, easy crowd control with things like this. We have easy positioning reorientation. Like the swords are just like fucking busted as shit. You can do stuff like this with the Dark Dragon Blade too, but it's not nearly as like cool. You can, like, for instance, there's this combo. I'm gonna have to turn off delimbs for this. Because this combo, it's like fucking an NG2 combo where it's just like too goddamn long to get this attack off or get this combo off. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, Y, 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 X, 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 sorry. So like if you're gonna do like 1, 2, 3, 4, dodge, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, dodge, Y, god damn it. I can't even like count and talk while I play. That's how fucking dumb I am. Like I can't even count the attacks out loud. But with the Dark Dragon Blade, it's a lot better for the strings in my opinion. not necessarily the gleam attacks, because the only real like good gleam attack dodge offset is this, which just gets us into our last hit. So we have X, X. This is pretty much a guaranteed delim though. And it does give you some shit to do. The problem is there's no like X, X, Y. Y always just like launches you into the air like that, so you really don't have a lot of options. And even if you try to do like a dodge offset gleam in the air, there's really no like... It's just not as like, I don't know. It's not as... There's not as many options, and it's not nearly as... There's not nearly as much depth as Yakumo's other weapons. And then obviously like with the box itself, like it's really like no point to do any dodge offset with your shuriken attacks. But again, we do have great like crowd control. Like this just knocks enemies into the air. This is a great just get off me. And again, we have things like this where we can, like, basically, these are basically our grabs in this game. What else do we have? This attack is pretty shitty. Like, it's really cool, but it gets you punished, like, super, super bad. So, I mean, obviously you know how to use the ninja box. But yeah, I hope that, like, explains the purpose of this. And when it comes to, like, the regular combos, mixing all of this in is where it really becomes, like, beneficial with the regular attacks as well. So, for instance, we have, like, this, which is one of our gap closers, the back forward X. Feels kind of worthless. There's a long recovery frame, but you can input buffer Bloodraven attacks. So we can do something like this. And then we're right into this like massive level 3 attack that they won't be able to respond to. This gives you like a second of stunning the enemy, and then you get the same like deflect frames if you fully charge this. So same with doing something like this. No, sorry. Input buffering is kind of like tricky because you can't if you try input buffering too early, you'll cut yourself short. So you want to make sure to start input buffering with Bloodraven like once you're already through the enemy. And then again with like, you know, weapons like this, you have like X, 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 and then you can go into a rotate X, which is your launcher, or X, X, back forward, and then you know, so all of these weapons have like completely different ways to kind of like go about it. Even something like this, you can mix these together. So or so again, even like our regular attacks with the staff, they're not really doing much until you get to the final hit of a combo. But when we looked at these, a lot of them are based on like pancaking. And if I could, I don't know the timing of this attack. They're all based on pancaking and knockback. But our regular like X and Y attacks don't really it's gonna feel, the game's gonna feel shitty if all you're doing is like spamming these X attacks. But when we understand the properties, so again, like our back forward Y is a pancake. Our rotate Y is a knockback. Our back forward X is a pancake. And then we do get a launcher, so our rotate X is a launcher. So pancakes and knockbacks, single targets, all-arounder, sweeping AoEs, single targets, fast delimbs. This is like your fucking go-to. And then this is going to be our grabs and ranged, right? So each of them have like completely different properties depending on the situation you're in and how you're trying to deal with these enemies, or like what the enemies are, and you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that's not like helpful. I'm sorry, but I hope that kind of like breaks it down on how the different weapons play and what you can do with them, the importance of dodge offset, getting into those quick delimbs so you can dispatch the enemies quickly. And why do we do this? Why not just spam the entire like Blood Raven combo? There's two reasons. One, it conserves meter. Two, like let me show one more thing. So like let's say this enemy here is a defensive enemy, right? Enemy behavior block. Okay. So like let's say this guy's he's blocking me. What do most people do in this situation? They just go... But you can dodge offset out of these blocks. And like basically get, because when they're blocking, you're not doing any damage. But you're still, your hits are still counting as like your combo. And we still want to get like good fast delimbs and damage on them, right? So going into these like higher attacks not only breaks their guard, but we just did like more damage in that one attack than we would have spamming X and doing something like this. Breaking their guard, getting a couple attacks, breaking their guard. Like, we're gonna do a lot more damage on an enemy like that by doing literally just this, and then... That's not what I meant to do, I meant to do this. So, you know, you can work it in ways like that, or, you know, whatever. So, yeah, anyways, hope it helps. Peace.